The results are emblematic of how Japanese politics is entering a very unstable era.
So you mentioned the LDP has been dominant in Japanese politics for 7 decades. What's gone wrong here? How has it lost its grip?
The rise of Sanseito has got people in Japan wondering, is this style of anti-immigration populism, is that here to stay in Japan as well?
Welcome to the Intelligence Podcast. I'm your host, Jason Palmer. Remember, if you want to listen to the whole episode, click the link in the description below. Tell me about the election results from yesterday.
Upper house elections in Japan usually don't generate that much excitement, but this one turned out to be a big story. The ruling Liberal Democratic Party and its junior partner lost its majority for the first time in over a decade. This is a big blow for Prime Minister Ishiba Shigeru, who came into office last October and saw his ruling coalition lose its majority in the lower house election as well last year.
So the Prime Minister's party lost its majority in both houses now. What does that mean for him and for politics in general?
So to be very clear, the LDP is still the largest political force in Japanese politics. The centre-left opposition is very weak and unable to pose a serious challenge. So it's not like the LDP has been unseated. They're still the ruling party. But the results have been pretty disastrous. The results are emblematic of how Japanese politics is entering a very unstable era. This is a country where the LDP has dominated for over 7 decades, but we're starting to see the LDP's grip on power fall. And another thing that the results signaled is this arrival of social media-led populism in Japan. We saw this party called Sanseito, or in English they go by the Do-It-Yourself Party, who ran on a Japanese-first platform, clearly inspired by the MAGA movement and Trump in America, gained significant number of seats as well.
And what was it that voters were actually voting on? What were the talking points of the election?
So a big talking point of this election was inflation, and economic policy was at the center of the debate. So Japan's economy is going through a major transition. Japan has been in a deflationary environment for decades, but now we start to see prices going up, and we also had this rice crisis beginning last year as well. And these rising prices have been a huge shock to the general public. And what was also interesting about this campaign is we start seeing immigration be featured as a hot button issue. So I would say Japan's immigrant population is much smaller compared to Western countries like America or Europe. But despite Japan's reputation as this kind of insular, closed-off island country, its foreign population is increasing steadily.
So you mentioned the LDP has been dominant in Japanese politics for 7 decades. What's gone wrong here? How has it lost its grip?
All of this began with the assassination of Abe Shinzo, a former prime minister, in the summer of 2022. So the assassination revealed the LDP's ties to a group called the Unification Church, also known as the Moonies, which is a cult-like group. And then soon after, there was a political fund scandal that further tainted the party's image. And this was really disappointing for voters and gave people the impression that the LDP is corrupt and out of touch. And there are also structural changes that are influencing the LDP's grip on power. So the media landscape in Japan is changing a lot. So in Japan, legacy media like newspapers and broadcasters are still very influential. But nonetheless, younger people are drawn to online sources like YouTube and Instagram and TikTok. And that is opening the door for younger political parties to speak directly to voters and appeal to them as an appealing alternative to established mainstream parties. And this idea of modernizing or innovating campaign methods is something that the LDP has struggled to do.
And Moeka, we've spoken on the show before about the shifts in Japanese politics. Tell me how the newer parties sort of figure into it.
Yes, so we've seen this inkling of social media-led populism in Japan, especially by these minor candidates who put themselves against the political establishment or the political elite. But previously, we've seen this in smaller, like local elections, but we're really starting to see this phenomenon manifest in national politics as well. And Sanseito, this hard-right party I mentioned earlier. So I attended some campaign speeches, and they were talking tough on immigration and talking about rising crime and how foreigners are harassing women and rich Chinese people are buying up land and so on. Making all these kinds of dubious claims, and the audience was cheering. So while the momentum of Sanseito is very striking, there's still a minor force in the parliament. But the rise of Sanseito has got people in Japan wondering, is this style of anti-immigration populism, the kind of populism we see in Western countries, is that here to stay in Japan as well?
But in the shorter term, right now, the LDP is in a very sticky spot. What's going to happen with it, do you think?
So in terms of the leadership, Ishiba has said that he doesn't intend to step down, but there are already calls from within his party for him to resign. So there might be an announcement in the upcoming days. I would say again that his days in office are numbered. In the meantime, the ruling LDP is going to try to bring in another party to expand its coalition. But so far, the leaders of the potential partners have rejected the idea. So it's very unclear if this is going to happen either. So there are a lot of uncertainties about what's going to happen short term, but what's very clear is that Japanese politics is entering a messy era.